Welcome back, everyone. This is session 2 of planning a worship service. In session 1, we discussed how to plan a worship service when you do not have a choir. But in this session, we're going to discuss worship planning when you actually have a choir. Now, let me say first of all, having a choir is not something that every church can accomplish. But if you can, it is a great opportunity to allow people who love music to participate in your music ministry. Your choir can be used to facilitate worship in your church by helping lead the worship as well as singing specials that draw people's attention to the Lord. The same tools and processes that are mentioned in session 1 are used when planning with a choir in the mixture. The difference is now you have a built-in springboard for a theme in your service. Since the choir can be your largest group of musicians on stage many times, it can be used as your biggest impact in your service. So you could very easily begin with what message the choir song is sending specifically and springboard from that. If the choir is singing about the cross, then use congregation music about the cross. If the choir is singing about heaven, you can easily use congregation music that talks about heaven to back up the message of the choir song. This helps to focus the congregation's thoughts throughout the whole service so that you're pinpointing their thought processes. The only real difference is now you have added something to your order of service. Take the time to think through your order and place the choir song where it might have the most impact. It could very well at times be first, sometimes in the middle, sometimes right before the message. You can work it surrounding the choir song with supportive music worship that will keep everyone's thoughts on the Lord. It could be at the beginning because it's up-tempo, high energy, maybe using your kids' choir with your adult choir, which I highly suggest, by the way. But it just needs to sometimes be a little different to keep people guessing and to keep it interesting. As we mentioned in session 1, try not to make the order of service the exact same every week. Find ways to make some things different to keep people interested. Make sure to use some of the same elements, including scripture reading and testimonies. If there's a portion of a choir song that is familiar, have the congregation join you while the choir is finishing the song. Like if they're singing an arrangement of How Great Thou Art, the congregation can join on the end of it. Or use some of the arrangement with the congregation after the choir finishes. Something that might be a newer praise and worship song that you can run it back a little bit and use the last couple of choruses with that. When you're using scripture reading and things like that, you can pass a microphone to choir members and let them read some scripture. You can even read the scripture and ask the choir to join with you as you're reading the scripture and you're all reading it together for a bigger impact. Be sure that you think through a way of getting your choir off the stage without causing a distraction or breaking the flow of the service itself. For us, we use a fellowship time just because for us that's actually what works. I would suggest not bringing your musicians and choir off the stage while you're doing a congregation song. It kind of just takes away from the flow of worship. So you have to think through that. The use of a choir is also a way to teach the congregation a new song. The choir can use it as a special for a couple of times, and then when the congregation has heard it a few times as a special, they can join in and the choir is still up there as a praise team or with the praise team. But since they've already heard it from the choir, it's going to be easier for them to join in and sing it. And eventually you can take a choir anthem and it will become a worship song for the whole church to be involved in. The choir is a blessing to the congregation as well as the music pastor, if, again, the church has the ability to have one. And it is, in my opinion, the perfect springboard for planning themed worship services for your church. I hope that's a help to you. You might need to watch session 1 and session 2. Even if you do have a choir, don't have a choir, watching both of them together will give you all the information. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me at kdenton@faithfwbc.com.